Okay, BlazeLeeDragon here, and I am on
car.
Yep, and I'm on the road recording a video with my beautiful wife, and this is a video response to, I don't know how to pronounce this, but it's spelled arlBM, and she would like to know my opinion on fortune telling and tarot cards and speaking with spirits for divination purposes. So, with that in mind,
Sorry, I gotta wrap the present real quick.
You can. With that in mind, I'm going to give my opinion. And my wife is going to wrap presents for my niece. And I'm doing I need to smack myself. No uhs. I don't like uhs. So, fortune telling, divination, etc. is a very broad term. Broad category, broad term. I need more sleep. So, with this, you gotta have to kind of consider what are you asking, and how specific you can get depends on what you're asking too. So I mean, with any form of divination, it's something that allows you to have insight into possible futures. So of course, you know, it's not necessarily etched in stone. However, you can still see probable futures, and it can sometimes help guide you or give you some guidance on how you can handle things. Also, it can give you insight on a situation. Hey, honey, there's a pink truck over there. Here, we gotta show you the pink truck real quick since I interrupted the video for it. Anyway, so it can help give you insight. Do you see it?
My blue card's better though.
I know. It can help give you insight into making decisions, etc. But at the same time, you shouldn't necessarily live by it, in my opinion. Once again, this is my opinion. The best
set in stone.
Exactly. The best person to ask about this kind of stuff is my wife, who is a very, very potent diviner. I like the term potent. It's fun.
Potent?
Potent.
I am potent.
Yes, you are.
Okay. No, I don't look good today.
Oh, I'm keeping it on your face. Your face is always beautiful. Even if she doesn't like the rag she's wearing, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
So, when it comes to different forms of divinations, there's many, 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 many methods that you can use, and I'm sure my wife could rattle off about 50 or more. As an example, I mean, people have heard of tarot or taru. Are there any other ways of pronouncing that?
No, you never really want to pronounce it tarot.
Yeah, that's the incorrect way of pronouncing that. And basically with the tarot, or tarot...
I prefer tarot.
I prefer tarot too, but I've heard tarot used a lot as well.
Yeah.
But you're the professional. Make sure you're in the correct lane to get on the highway.
I'm probably not.
I know. Yeah, you're not.
That's okay.
So, when you're using tarot cards, it's important to realize what they are and how they function. So there's some different theories on how they function, and one of the ways that I understand how they function, I have to show the cemetery as I'm driving, is that they help you to commune with your higher self. Some say that it helps to commune with spirits, entities, or the higher realms. How do you think tarot works?
I think it works partially on your intuition, but also your connection with just the divine force in general, and that's what helps you. Hold on, I gotta turn. That's what helps you connect with the divine, and through them, and through your own ability to trust your instincts is how they work, in my opinion. And putting that energy into the cards, whether you're the one shuffling, or the way I prefer to do it is to have somebody else hold the cards and have their energy in it, but if they're not focusing, it's sometimes you're not going to get a decent reading, but yeah, you should learn how to connect with yourself and with your higher self, as you said, and also with the divine. I think that's what makes a good diviner. Do I need to get over it?
Yes, you do, because you have to be in the left lane.
I got it.
So, what are your opinions then on phone psychics that do tarot over the phone?
I had a couple of experiences with that back when I was really young, because I wanted to see if it was true or not, and basically the ladies I talked to were full of crap, but I'm assuming some of them might maybe have it, but I think if you're not able, I think you're still able to connect with people if you connect with that energy, whether they're sitting in front of you or not. I don't think it's as accurate or as potent, as you say, if you're just randomly doing it over the phone. But I don't know, I personally like to have the person there so their energy's in there there with it, because they're not there, their energy's not there. It's kind of like, well, who are you reading for? You can randomly pick an energy out of nowhere, but I don't know, I don't really trust phone psychics. I think it's a scam. I mean,
Well, I was more along the lines of, since you had actually stated that you're fine, you're barely in it, you're off in the corner, even lifting it up higher. But you had mentioned, yeah, drive, the road, not me, not the camera. But you had mentioned you'd like them to touch the tarot cards when you're doing your readings.
oh yeah, because I want them to sit there and concentrate on themselves and what they'd like to try to find out or figure out, and while they're shuffling, I want them to try to really focus putting their energy into those cards, or let the cards get to know who they are, so the cards can read well for them. That makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. So, now I, personally, yeah, it's good for a ride during this video so that you can get sick with us. It doesn't work too well. I was going to lay it down because I'm being lazy. But anyway, so fortune telling is not a term I'm very fond of, and even though essentially it is, in a way, telling your fortune.
But it's not necessarily telling it. It's telling it at that moment in your life on the path that you're on. If you change a different decision, though, that tarot reading could be null and void within 5 minutes if you did something that drastically changed the next step. I mean...
You mean like saying if you walk out into the road in 5 minutes, you're going to be hit by a car, so you decide not to, and you see the car speed by?
You've changed your whole course. I mean, it's in my opinion, every action and decision you make in life changes something. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just how it is in my opinion. But
now,
I can tell you, you're going to be pregnant and get married within the next 6 months. If you decide to close up your legs, you know, and obviously you're not going to get pregnant, and maybe your fiance might leave you because you're not giving him sex because he's a jerk. I mean, stuff like that can change depending on your actions. It's more about what's going on in that moment in your life.
Now, she was also saying it's good to use instincts and to interpret. I mean, if you are reading the tarot cards, the images are supposed to guide you, and there's books that'll tell you how to interpret them, but it's good to follow instincts.
Right, I've had cards come up that I know the meanings for it and what position it's in, and it's telling me, like, I've got like a red flag going off in my head or in that little gut feeling, like, no, you tell them this because, or whatever I see or feel, if something else is popping up with that card, even though it's not necessarily that meaning, that's what I'm going to read, because you got to also read with what else is going on in that spread or whatever. Where do I go? I go this way.
Correct. You get in the left lane and you take this exit. So, they're great guides. Now, of course, I'm talking so much about tarot because they're extremely popular. Tons and tons of different decks. And
each deck isn't going to be the same. I mean, you're going to have your general meaning, but depending on how pictures are depicted in it can change them, or give you different meanings of those cards. There's different types of decks, too. Like, it's just all a bunch of stuff. Oh, we're turning. Look at us go.
So, this has become her video.
Sorry.
You know more about this than I do. I know of Divination, and I've done a little bit, but she's the expert here. You want to learn about?
There's some decks I can't read with because they just, just don't connect.
Yeah, because each of the images, it's the symbology behind it. Sometimes I think it's more trying to focus on being fancy, and it loses the meaning of the original tarot. So anyway, and we can get into history about it later and how it,
I've got one deck that I only read with one person because it's such a neurotic deck. Like, it just fits them. So, but yeah.
So anyway, supposedly, from what I understand, tarot is actually a deck of cards that was a game a long time ago that they used to actually play. There's a method of playing it.
Well, they use regular playing cards at the beginning.
Yes, and then they also use regular playing cards to read with as well. But I'm just saying that the tarot cards, the ones that we know with all the images, there's actually games, which I've showed you how to play once before, which is actually really cool because I like games.
Yeah, what was the game called originally? It's like Trump or something?
Tarot.
Yeah, because he would lay the cards out for...
Yeah.
Anyway.
Which I originally learned about in a book I was reading, I believe... What was it? Wheel of Time? No. It was the Dark Sword series. Because they kept talking about Tarok. And I'm like, what game is this? And I looked it up, and it looked like It's actually tarot cards that they use, and it's an actual game. So the author, either Margaret Weiss or Tracy Hickman, I think it might have been either both of them or Margaret Weiss. I can't remember the author. Look it up. Dark Sword series. It's really cool because they have a very interesting take on stuff. So anyway, divination is great for helping to guide you, I think, and I think it's good to get some insight. I think it's very legit. I think some people don't know how to interpret it correctly, but it's the same thing as if I am going to tell you what's in front of me right now, and I say that I see, you know, 3 red glowing orbs hovering in space, and there are large monsters blocking my path, and I can go no further. Well, if I turn it, you can see I'm obviously talking about the lights, but maybe you would describe them differently, you know? And the cars being the monsters. I mean, it's all based upon interpretation. When you have a diviner trying to give you insight into the future, they're seeing images and they're trying to interpret it for you. It's kind of like being on a cell phone with someone and them trying to explain their surroundings. You're only going to get so much from that. And once again, it depends on the person's ability to describe and to see what's in front of them. If they have poor sight or poor vision or it's dark, etc. So there's other things to consider. And divination, there's many, many, many forms. I mean, you have the Futhark runes and you can cast the runes. And there's many ways of reading those, just like with the tarot cards. There's a normal layout you have, but there's other ones as well. There's also fortune cards and medicine cards and animal cards and oracle decks and
water scrying.
Water scrying and crystal scrying and rolling dice, or if an animal
automatic
walks.
Writing.
Automatic writing.
Scary but cool. So.
Your animals, you know, depending on what foot goes in the room first. We mentioned on the last video, not this one.
Yeah. Well, because we had a couple last ones because we were going to the store.
You can use playing dice. You can break an egg. You can burn paper in the middle. And
tea leaf reading.
Tea leaf reading. Yeah, there's geomancy. There's so many. Oh, and mancy. That'll get into the other part, talking to spirits. Not the geomancy's talking to spirits, but mancy. If you look up the definition, apparently mancy is for any form of communitory divination. So if you have geomancy, it's a form of divination. If you have necromancy, it's a form of divination. I don't know.
Taromancy. No.
I guess you could call it taromancy.
I think there actually is another term for it, but
probably. And
I like my term, taromancy.
I don't know all of the mancies. I just know those two more popular ones because my wife has practiced geomancy and necromancy. Everyone has heard of necromancy, but of course, you know, I guess depending on how you want to look at it, even in the video games when they summon minions, they're communicating with the spirits, bringing them to them, and then giving them direction. So, I mean, in a way, it could still be considered necromancy, I suppose.
You know, I haven't done geomancy in years.
I know, and it's all based upon numbers. Even though geo is like Earth, it's all numbers and charts, and it's really
it's a neat system. Jesus, Pete's turn. Good Lord.
See, I almost ran out of the tank. No, it was a car turning because she doesn't know how to drive.
Yeah.
See, she admitted that. You heard that. Evidence on tape. So, when you're talking to spirits, whether it's through a Ouija board or psychic circle or pendulum, which pendulums don't have to be used for spirits, but they can be. You should, or necromancy, or you can also do flame gazing, and okay. Point being is when you're speaking with spirits or beings of another world, you want to be leery of the fact that you're now asking for somebody's advice. No, go straight. What's the matter with you?
I don't.
Stop speaking with the spirits and drive the car. So, when you're speaking with spirits, you're having someone give you their opinion and advice and their insight. So it's not like using a divinatory tool that is necessarily biased. You're getting an unbiased. So you're not getting an unbiased opinion like with tools. You're getting a biased opinion of that particular entity. So they could lie to you or fib, and you got to be careful with what you're doing. You also want to make sure that you use protection. A lot of people, it drives me nuts. They don't want to cast a circle. They just want to, let's play with the Ouija board in the cemetery because it's fun to fuck with the spirits. Don't do that. What the fuck? I mean, some people do the white light thing. Sure, that's fine. Blue light of protection, salt. There's many. Just asking for protection. There are many ways of protection, that you want to use before you start communicating with the spirit realm. So just be leery if you're doing techniques and make sure you know what you're doing before you play with them, because it's not necessarily something you want to play with. So I think that kind of answers my personal opinions on divination, fortune telling, some tarot.
Up during tarot readings. I mean, so you always want to ask for some kind of, yeah, protection and stuff, because that, you remember that one incident with the,
I do.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And with mediums, do you consider mediums to be necromancers? Because I do.
I never really gave it much thought.
Think about it now. Speak.
Hold on, I'm trying to stop the car. I am
The brake, honey.
very funny.
No, seriously, that stops the car. I'm good at that.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're raising the dead, but I don't.
But necromancers don't necessarily raise the dead. They communicate
I was
with
going
them.
to say that, but yeah, I guess, yeah, because I guess it'd be a form in necromancy. I mean, you're dealing with the dead, so I don't know. Never gave it much thought. I never really got too much into necromancy, except for playing video games, because I love raising minions and that. But I mean,
Guild Wars Necromancer.
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah.
So-
Elementalist in Guild Wars, Necromancer in Guild Wars. Awesome stuff. We like video games. So I guess that kind of answers your question. And if you guys have any more questions, we would be happy to try to answer them. And I'll try to do them together, especially when it's divination. Because like I said, if you want to know about healing, hey, ask me. I'll talk all about healing in different cultures and the way that they do different forms of healing. And that's my specialty.
Hours upon video on that one.
Yeah. And same thing can go for her with divination. She's just brushing upon the tip of the iceberg.
I'm driving. I don't know where.
Yes. You're going right. Oh, no, you're... No, I'm joking. Keep going. So, is there anything else that you would like to say, talk about, suggest when it comes to divination, fortune telling, or tarot? We're talking spirits.
Be careful and respectful, and learn to trust your instincts. That's the main thing, I think. Instincts is a huge part, and a lot of people don't pay attention to them, even in daily life, which I think they need to. So,
take it right at this light.
This light? Okay.
Yeah, if you drive up further, that's a cemetery I used to be a groundskeeper at.
Oh, the one that had that really cool graves with the Civil War students?
Yes.
Students.
Soldiers. Yeah, there's 14 soldiers buried in an unmarked grave.
You can go when it's green. Anyway.
So, yeah, any more questions, feel free to ask. This is BlazeLeeDragon and his beautiful wife, Alex, talking to you from the car.